Okay, it's my great pleasure to introduce the first of our speakers, comedian, best-selling author and broadcaster, Dave Gorman.
We do have a number of eminent speakers, and I'm not one of them. I'm almost certainly the least informed person who's going to speak to you this evening. The one thing I would say, I sort of got involved in this because I read about it. I thought it was an atrocious situation. I thought the judgment that handed down the other day was farcical. And I said something about it in the public domain, and half an hour later my agent called me and said, "We've just had a lawyer on the phone."
Sorry.
And it was him. And you then can't walk away from something like this, obviously. But having put it in the public domain, the one thing I haven't prepared a speech on, the one thing I've printed off is a couple of things that I found in the kind of reaction from the public to me having done this. And the one I'd like to start with is this. It was on Twitter, and somebody, I won't give you their username because I don't deserve any abuse, but they tweeted me saying, "Sorry, don't understand the support for Simon Singh. Legal arguments interpretation aside, he's an arse." I love the idea that you could put legal arguments or interpretations aside in what is a legal argument. Legal arguments, interpretations aside, there's nothing. That's what this is. And I know Simon, and he might well be an arse. But I've never seen that. I mean, I did respond to that man saying that he was wrong about Simon, and also that he was being a dick. But I thought it's time for an arms race with abuse. Someone and things like that. I was once, years ago, not for my own use, I was given the job of writing a joke, of a sort of a doctor-doctor joke, only one that applied to alternative medicines. It's not a very good joke, but I shall tell it to you now, which was, aromatherapist, my dog's got no nose. Or you've come to the wrong man. The more I learn about the worst side of alternative medicine, the more I think the joke should go, aromatherapist, my dog's got no nose. That's okay, I'm sure I can help you with that. That seems to be this pervasive attitude of you can't criticise them, they can deal with anything. Which is the worst side of what comes from this weird situation where a scientist, who is also a journalist, and if there's two professions in the world that should profit from questioning things, that should do good by questioning things, it is journalism and science. And so science journalism, of all things, should be a profession in which you're allowed to question things. That aside, it's part of the fucking human condition to question things. The idea that a science writer talking about something for which there is no evidence could not say so without risk of a lawsuit actually affects every single one of us, whether or not we're arses. Which is why the Twitter person who said he's an arse and I don't understand why he's calling him doesn't understand. Because it affects every single one of us, whatever it affects my profession, it affects anyone who's ever going to say anything in public. You are threatened by this situation. The law is an ass, and in my personal opinion, the British Chiropractic Association are behaving like asses also. By claiming, that's the one thing that good can come out of this. And the good that can come out of this is the following. 2 weeks ago, I genuinely did not know that chiropractic was part of complementary medicine. I've never been to one, I've never used one, I had no idea. I thought it was another word for physiotherapists. I thought they did something, because they are the least woo of all the woo arts. As far as I knew, they dealt with your back problem by manipulating your back, which is considerably less woo than reflexology or homeopathy or aromatherapy and the rest of these things, which sort of manage to apparently cure your head by playing with your feet or whatever. All those things make less connection with my head. I thought chiropractic was sensible. Now I've learned, because of this, that it's actually quite medicine, and it's far less effective than I actually thought. So actually, in bringing this case, they brought themselves to my attention, and I now know I had a more informed opinion about them. And the one good, well, several good things we can do with this, depending on what goes ahead and how Simon decides to behave in this situation. We can all help by raising funds, which are going to help in something that might be a very expensive thing, and we can also help by spreading the word. And the more information that is out there, and if you write a blog, you should write about this, and if you work in the media, you should spread this. Because the more people that find out about the British Chiropractic Association, effectively, and if you think about this, these are people whose profession is being a little bit liberal and woolly, like us. And what they're doing is using a bloody big weapon to silence someone, which is the least woolly, liberal, soft, fluffy thing they can do. And just should damage their reputation alone. Just the fact they think this is an appropriate tool for dealing with this situation, that alone should tarnish their name and their reputation. And it's their own fault because they only brought this case. They didn't have to do that. They could have brought the evidence and said, well, actually, no, this is what we believe, and had some kind of public discourse about it. But I suspect that, well, I don't know, I better not say that because there are lawyers in the room. But because we've learned we're not allowed to say what we think, they might have come back on that. I did get an email from the man who sent me that Twitter thing saying that Simon was an arse. When I called him a dick, it worked. He wrote me an email 2 days later saying, I do have issues with Dr. Singh's assertion that chiropractic is dangerous, as it was the only form of treatment that was able to help me overcome a great deal of pain. He's wrong now, you should try morphine. And has nothing but a positive impact on my physical well-being. Hence my comment that he is an arse. There you go, it's a flawless logic. But he does end by saying the dubious decision in the ruling and the impact on freedom of speech is what is most important. A fact that my Merlot-impaired brain fully ignored and misguidedly led me to take the side of an organisation that is not doing itself any favours, which was done. Apologies for any offence. So there you go, there's somebody who thought Simon was an arse and thought that the British Chiropractic Association deserved defending. And when his hangover is cleared, just simply call him a dick. Led him to change his opinion. He's a man who has benefited from chiropractic, but sees the flawed way in which they're progressing for what it is. They're being bullies. Both the law is an ass and an ass is the way in which they're employing it. And hopefully you'll go away and help to spread the word and help to embarrass them further for having brought this upon themselves. And that's all I have to say, other than there will be people with more eminence speaking shortly. Thank you very much.